Shri Krishna Balaram ki jai. Shri Gonitai ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Dans mon bureau. Shri Gurudev, non, là-bas. Jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gurudev ki jai. Shrimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Shrimad Bhakti Shastri ki jai. Dandavat. Dandavat Pranam. Swagatam, Suswagatam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. You can unmute yourself. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agyantimirandasya Yananjara Sharakaya Shakshu Militam Yena Tashmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Sta Shri Rupa Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sam Jivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshvari Vishavanu Sute Devi Panamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhasha Kripa Sindhubhyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. C'est pas là, Retoshan, c'est là-bas, dans mon bureau, dans le temple. Mon nom va te montrer.
Cute boy.
Yeah, he's already writing his Christmas letter. Can you imagine? We are the 5th of December. So I told him, you're not late. So he's telling me, I'm practicing.
They're just kids.
Okay. So you want to give me a little recap? Looks like you guys started the 3rd chapter a little bit. So please give me a little recap. If you want to link it up with the 2nd chapter, it's fine also.
I'm not so good at recaps. Maybe somebody else could try.
You didn't have to reveal yourself. I just ask your name. Anyway, we are between us. There's nothing to hide. We're just trying to grab the guitar. We're on the same boat. Okay, what's happening in this? Okay, let's make it simple. Let's start from the 3rd chapter. Obviously, Arjuna is confused. So what's going on? It was one of the questions actually. Yeah? Arjuna is quite confused. What's the root cause of his confusion? Which slok in the 2nd chapter triggered off this confusion?
I said that Arjuna was confused about he didn't understand the workings of the soul, and he was confused about why intelligence is better than fruitive work and why he should fight. And in terms of which part in the shloka in chapter 2, I guessed, so I wasn't sure. Like I guess 2.49, but I don't know if that was the exact word.
Exactly. You're quite, I mean, I was quite impressed, Sorel. Huh? This answer and the next one, Dvivida Nishta, you hit on the nail.
Yeah.
I mean, wonderful. And of course, Vignesh did also. So basically, what happened in 249?
249, let's see.
What makes Arjun confused?
249.
It's good to quote it, but it's good also to know what it means.
Yeah. So in 249, it's talking about how when one comes to understand their position as a servant of the Lord, then they understand that they're not receiving the fruits of their work, and if they're just doing the actions to just get the fruits of their work, then you're a miser, basically.
Are we talking about the same verse 249? Huh?
Yeah, 249. I have this version, that's why.
Okay,
Maybe.
Durena, the verse is Durena Yavaram Karma Buddhi Yoga Dhananjaya. So keep away, Arjun, all abominable activities, far distant by Buddhi Yoga. You got this one?
Mm-hmm. And then it says, and in that consciousness surrender unto the Lord, those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are misers.
Okay, great. So basically, Buddhi Yoga means Bhakti Yoga. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
And it literally also may refer to yoga, the yoga of Buddhi, intelligence. Buddhi means intelligence. And in 250, same story, a man engaged in devotional service, Buddhi Yoga, rids himself of both good and bad actions, even in this life. Therefore, strive for yoga, which is the art of all work. So, through intelligence, we should avoid all abominable activities. Krishna has emphasized Buddhi like anything. Remember, he has at least mentioned Buddhi 10 times in the last 33 shloks of the second chapter. So Arjuna is perplexed. Why is he perplexed? Someone can take over. She did a very good start. Sorel. Then, I mean, Vignesh, you can, I mean, your answers were quite good as well. Why is he perplexed, basically?
Like Lord Krishna gave basically kind of seemingly equivocal statements.
Yes.
The first time he mentioned, like in 2.49, he keep all the abominable activities far distant from devotional service. So in a way, Arjuna was already reluctant to fight the war. So he presumes that kind of inauspicious work, this kind of inauspicious work refers to work of fighting against his relatives. So he thinks as if Krishna is requesting, asking Arjuna to not to fight by keeping all these inauspicious activities far from devotional service. At the same time, Krishna also elsewhere asked Arjuna to fight the war, like in 2.37, 2.38. But that's why he's confused. What exactly Krishna wants? Does he want me to fight or not fight?
Exactly.
It's some kind of seeming contradiction.
Yeah, definitely. So in the beginning of the second chapter, Krishna spoke of Gyan, Atma Gyan, difference between body and soul, spirit from matter. And then he followed on with discussion on Buddhi Yoga, remember? And at the end of the second chapter, he talked about Sthita Pragya, means someone who is fixed in transcendental knowledge and neutral, totally neutral to the material world. And then he concluded 270, remember, he said, a person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires, which like rivers enter the ocean, and which is ever being filled, but always still, can alone achieve peace. And not the man who strives to fulfill, satisfy such desires. So we can easily imagine Arjuna coming to the understanding that he shouldn't try to satisfy his desires, basically. And rather, he should be fixed in Gyan, Sthita Pragya, in Buddhi Yoga. Therefore, like you said, he shouldn't engage in abominable killing. So why is he asking me to fight? Okay, is that clear? Then second question, you stop me if it is unclear, because we're coming basically to one of the main themes of the Bhagavad Gita, so it should be well understood. Next question is about that. Why is the Lord asking in Sri, Dvivida Nishta, Sri? Actually, we have to start from Sri, I believe. So we'll just recite Sri and then we'll discuss. Shri Bhagavan Uvaj, Lokesmin Dvivida Nishta Pura Proktamaya Naga Gyan Yogena Sankhyanam Kama Yogena Yoginam. Please repeat. One or two person can repeat.
Sri Sri Neva Yajna. Buddhi.
Sri.
To free.
Yeah, Sri.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Lokesmi Vidanista Pura Proktanayan Naga Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam.
Yes. Translation.
As the Blessed Lord said, O sinless Arjuna, I have already explained that there are two classes of men who realize the self. Some are inclined to understand him by empirical, philosophical speculation, and others are inclined to know him by devotional work.
Yeah. So the question applies here. Why is he saying Dvivida Nishta? Baladev Vidyabhushan explained that Nishta is singular form. Oftentimes we hear of Nishta meaning fixedness. Here it's translated as faith. But both apply. But it's singular form. Very interesting. Why is it in singular form? It sounds like a shloka. We discussed that shloka. That shloka in the second chapter basically starts off the Gita. Buddha Prabhu used to say that. Which shloka does it refer to in the second chapter? Some of you picked up on it, huh? I think, yes, Sorel did. Very good job. Obviously, Vignesh did. Let's see. Jacob, 239. Yeah, you got it. And Golokananda Priya. Yes, 239, you got it. So try to, those two verses are extremely connected. So if you look at 239, we are referring to two types of fellows here. Esha te bihita sankhye buddhi yoget vimam shrinu buddhya yukto yayapart kama bandam prahasyasi. So up to now, Krishna says, prior to 239, I've explained to you things in terms of Sankhya. Be careful, Sankhya here refers to an analytical study of matter between spirits, basically. But now listen carefully. I'm going to explain the same thing, not a different thing, the same thing, but in terms of Buddhi Yoga. And when you understand how to function on this platform of Buddhi Yoga, then you can free yourself from the bondage of work. So obviously, Arjun's ear should be pricked up because, remember, he wants to get free from sin. So, now he's going to hear, because there's an art of work which obviously will allow him not to get involved in sin. But we are talking about the same topic. But back to Sri Sri, Dvivida Nishta. So why does he say Dvivida Nishta in Sri Sri? Dvivida means?
Prabhupada translates it as two kinds of.
Yes, very good. So please elaborate.
Sure. So Dvivida Nishta, two kinds of faith. In the verse, we're being told that there are two kinds of people who approach the Lord, either through philosophical speculation or devotional work.
Yeah, exactly. So we're talking about fellows who are on the same platform. In other words, there's two ways through which the self can be realized. The process of detached work, Karma Yoga or Buddha Yoga, and the process of philosophical speculation, which entails obviously renouncing the work, which is Jnana Yoga, or for that matter here, Sankhya Yoga. But both processes are authoritative. And one should guard against premature renunciation. We know that Jnana Yoga can be adopted only after sufficient purification. How to purify ourselves? Through performance of prescribed duties. That's clear. So premature renunciation cannot purify the heart. And therefore, it's going to be rejected by the Lord coming up soon. So that is why, basically, Dvivida Nishta here, according to the inclinations of the practitioner, you're going to take up Sankhya Yoga, Jnana Yoga, or better, Karma Yoga, or Buddha Yoga. Singular, Nishta. And what is the predicament of Arjuna? What did he misunderstand? What is his misunderstanding all about?
He seems to have a superficial understanding of what yoga means.
Yes.
He thinks, oh, well, I should just run off and become a renunciate, yes, rather than engaging in his duty as a warrior. Yes, definitely. Anyone would like to add up to that, Sorel or Vignesh? This is very important. This is the key theme of the Gita. Should we renounce work? Should we work in devotion? So basically, that's the key theme of the Gita. Very important theme. Yes, I interrupted you. Perhaps, Sorel, you wanted to say something?
No.
No? Vignesh? What is the crux of the matter? The crux of the matter, I think you say in English. What is the gist of this misunderstanding?
I think Arjuna has basically made some mental categorization of the Buddhi Yoga and the Karma Yoga being completely different.
Yes.
As such, they are interdependent. It's like a flow. We cannot just have categorical difference between them.
Yes.
I think Krishna will then combine both of them and give a perspective on it.
Exactly, Vignesh. Exactly. So Arjuna misunderstood that there are two different incompatible processes leading to different goals. And we should choose one of them. That is his misunderstanding. That's why he says Dvivida Nishta. No. Singular. But again, according to your inclinations, you may pick up one of the two, but we are on the same ladder, Arjuna. It's just two different rungs, but moving towards the same direction. So that is why in 3.2, remember, Tamika Vada, tell me decisively, unequivocally, decisively, what is the process? What is the best process? And basically, Krishna is going to answer that Jnana and Karma are, in fact, two stages of the same progression towards him. And according to your inclination, again, you're going to pick up one of the two. That's one of the main themes of the Gita. It will reoccur in the 5th chapter, 6th chapter, again, 12th chapter. this doubt, this misunderstanding of Arjuna is going to linger. He's thinking they are contradictory. No, we should combine, Arjuna should combine the two. What should he combine? Actually, it was one of the questions, didn't I? Didn't I ask you this question? Yes, question 4. From 4 to 9, Krishna is pushing Nishkam karma, which combines two things. What are those two things? We should combine two things here. Perhaps it's too early to ask because we haven't covered that far. Okay, I'll ask you later. So, Arjuna, is answering that Jnana and Karma are in fact two stages of the same progression, and thus they're not contradictory. And that's important to understand. And Arjuna should combine them and free himself from the bondage of work. Baladev Vijayabhushan explained, he's a great acharya, as you know, that the word nishtha, or fixedness, is in singular, not in dual tense. It is to indicate that this is only one steadiness, nishtha, in the sense that both types of nishtha, whether karma yoga or jnana yoga, have only one goal, that is of realizing Atma. We have to realize either way that we're not the body. So they are not two nishtas with two different sadhanas or two different satyas, but rather one steadiness of two types with the same goal. Is it clear, this thing?
Yes.
Yes. Oftentimes we may fall into it's either one of the two. No. According to your inclination, you're going to situate yourself on one of the rung of the ladder or the other, but still you're going in the same direction. That will be re-emphasized very strongly by Krishna 5.4, 5.5. Someone who sees that the difference between the end result between Sankhya and Karma, one who sees a difference in their results is a fool. What Krishna is saying. One who understands that, on the contrary, they lead toward the same direction, he will get the fruits of both practices. 5.5. Again, it doesn't mean that according to our inclination or affinity or karma or guna, we're going to position ourselves in one of the two schools. And then we will discuss much later in the 12th chapter. Krishna will say, yes, both paths are fine, but one is a long, long haul. So obviously we know that already, that Lord Krishna is going to favor Buddhi Yoga, Bhakti Yoga by far. We know that. Let's move on. 3.4. Just let's read. You can read the English, you know.
Just the English?
Yeah. Otherwise, we have to move on, you know.
Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection.
Yeah, so that was one of my questions. Is renunciation good enough? Why not? I kind of just hinted at it recently, 2 minutes ago. Why renunciation is not good enough?
I said renunciation is not good enough because one has to first purify their hearts, and to do this, one has to become God conscious through devotional service. So it says in the purport, if you just become if you're just going to be like, oh, I'm going to just be a renunciate and just be a sannyas, it's not good enough because you'll still be part of the material world rather than fully fixing yourself and serving Krishna. So you can still there's I think it quoted it in this one, the Bhagavatam quote, or no, is it the next one? where it says the Bhagavatam 1:5-17.
Yeah.
I liked that.
It's a beautiful verse. Chakva swadamam sharanam bujam hare bhajana pagvut tat patet tatu yadi yachakva bhajam babutamush yakim kuverta aptu bhajatam swadamataha. This is Narad. Beautiful verse. Good. You're starting to quote cross-reference, Sorel. This is good. Now, one of the topics of Bhakti Shastri, you'll be able to quote crosswise, which is good. Because all the books are in Tattva, they categorize in Tattva. So here we're talking about, this central theme of Nishkarmya. We are in Nishkarmya Tattva here. So we'll find references here. But again, you can jump to, if you know the Bhagavatam a little bit, you can jump into this conversation between Narad and Vyas. It's full of Nishkarmya topics also. And after some time, you'll be able to cross-reference. Very good. So, yeah, okay. So basically, yes, renunciation all work. And let's go further into what Sorel just mentioned. What's wrong with just put yourself, I know it's not easy, but just put yourself in the shoe of a Mayavad sannyasi. Maybe more difficult even for a lady. But can you imagine you're a Mayavad sannyasi? And obviously, because for them, sannyas is the goal. Immediately, Shankar used to stress that you cannot advance unless you are a sannyas. So very early in life, they're going to take sannyas. What to speak? What about if they haven't purified their hearts? Just imagine yourself in that predicament. You cannot, especially as a Mayavad, you cannot engage into material activities because Brahmasatya Jagamnitya, everything is false. So how do you want them to purify their heart? They cannot resort to engaging their senses. You understand the difficulty of them? They are sannyas, they're supposed to be detached, but still within. Just like Sazarup Das Maharaj gives the example of a dry riverbed. You know this example, Vignesh, the dry riverbed? In India, you have seen wide rivers. I mean, they're so wide, much bigger than here. And in the scorching heat, they dry up. People, a layman will say, well, there's no water. But if you dig below, under the riverbed, there's water. So Sazarup Das Maharaj gives a beautiful example. In the same way, Mayavad, they cannot purify their heart by dint of devotional service. Krita Sadhya, Bhavet Sadhya Bhava. We know we can resort to Krita Sadhya, engaging our senses for the sake of serving Krishna, and ultimately it will become Bhav even, lead us to Bhav Bhakti. They cannot do that. Just like a dry riverbed, under the soil, there's water running. So in the same way, they look renunciate, but under the heart, under the skin, there's material desires. How do you want them to purify themselves? They cannot resort to, just like we do, resort to devotional service. So it's a hell of a predicament for them, And in private, either they into Bhakti Yoga, they won't tell you, but in private they worship sometimes even, or they have illicit activities in private because they're stuck in the mud. This is the problem with premature renunciation. Is that clear?
Yep.
Okay, so let's carry on. 5. 5 is, you can read out. English is okay.
3.5. Translation: everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment.
Exactly. That is why the Mayavad is stuck in the mud, because even though he's supposed to be transcendental, but how do you want him to purify the rest of his impurities in his heart? He cannot resort to devotional service, remember. So here we're talking about this section from 4 to 9. Krishna is going to answer Arjuna, especially in 4, by recommending Karma Yoga. And is going to explain the defect of renunciation of work. So this is a summary of what Krishna wants here. Actually, this section is so important because from 4 to 9, basically, it gives in a nutshell what Krishna wants from us. Not only from us, from mankind. Nishkam karma. What is Nishkam karma? Nishkam karma, does it ring a bell to you? Nishkam karma. Am I talking Chinese?
Oh.
Talking Sanskrit, 2 words. Nishkam karma.
Acting without desire for the fruit of the activity.
Yeah, basically that's what it is. Working with no material desires. So, but remember, combining, this is the combination we want to hear. Combining renunciation and work. Next question is there. From 4 to 9, Lord Krishna is pushing Nishkam Karma, which combine 2 things. What are those 2 things I just told you? Renunciation and work. You understand? We are not renunciates per se, like Mayavad, going to extract themselves from matter. No. Buddha Prabhu used to tell us repeatedly, he used to hammer the point year after year. Internally renounce, externally active. Internally renounce, externally active. Internally renounce, externally active. I mean, I heard those 2 words for 5-6 years, day in, day out. That's the essence of Krishna consciousness. So the combination that Krishna wants us to arrive to is renunciation and work. And what's going to happen? We know already. Nishkam Karma is going to shift, to change into renunciation or work into renunciation while working. See, in the beginning, it sounds like 2, renunciation or work. Combine the 2 now. Renunciation while working. You follow?
Yep.
And that is the proper understanding of renunciation. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Shikshatamika Purusha Puranaha. This is Kavikanapur, a great poet in the line of Mahaprabhu. This is Vairagya. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Shikshatamika Purusha Puranaha. Kripam Buddha Yastamaham Prapadye. Mahaprabhu is an ocean of mercy. He has defined what is renunciation. For us, Gaudiya Vaishnava, what is renunciation? Rejecting everything that is not favorable to our bhakti. Can't find higher than this. Renouncing anything which is not favorable to our bhakti. This is the ultimate understanding of renunciation. Yukta Vairagya. So renunciation is not external, just like the Mayavadis have misunderstood. Renunciation is internal, not an external show of renunciation of activities, like a mityachar. We're going to come to that, the pretender. Why we can't renounce, by the way? Because we have discussed at large in the second chapter, Atmagyan, the soul is eternally active. How do you want him to come to an activity, in action? It's impossible. Chaitanya. Chaitanya means what? Active consciousness. Chaitanya. Chit means consciousness. Chaitanya. So inactivity is never an option. That is why the hippie movement was a fiasco. Because they had good intentions, rejecting the norms, rejecting the establishment of their parents. But because they didn't know how to come to proper inaction, we'll discuss in the fourth chapter what is inaction. One who sees inaction in action and action in inaction really sees. So inactivity is never an option. The activity must carry on, but for the sake of directed towards self-purification, apanashodite, self-realization. Kamasyan indriya pritiya, loba jivetayavata, Sutta Goswami is saying, should be for purification of the heart. The purposes of performing our prescribed duty, that's also the, why are we performing our prescribed duty? Purification of the heart. So 4, we are in 4, in 5 even. Okay, do you have anything to say? I don't want to be like having a monologue.
Just to mention like one point, like nowadays, especially in India, it is even difficult to distinguish between a Mayavadi and even who is a devotee, at times, because often Mayavadis don't just take a renunciation, but they also utilize a lot of activities of bhakti yoga as well, like a stepping stone. So often people in general cannot understand he's a Mayavadi, he's a bhakti yogi or something. So because they seems like they do a lot of activities related to bhakti yoga as well. Yes. But often the intention may be different.
Yeah, they may resort temporarily. Prabhupada say that sometimes they do resort to even chanting, to even, reading Gita. But of course, they will have their own slant on the Gita. But in private, they advocate to be a Mayavad, sannyas, Mayavad. They hang out with all other sannyasis like them. But in private, they worship because it's tasteless. I remember there was one fellow in Vrindavan long back, brahmachari, fixed up. He was initiated in ISKCON, and sometimes I was years and years in Vrindavan. And I used to befriend him. He was a nice guy, Indian devotee. And then he would disappear for months. I would see him like 4 or 5 months, then he disappears. And again, he reappears 6, 4, 5 months later. And very well fixed up. So one day I approached him and said, look, sorry to intrude. I'm surprised because it looks like you're on and off. And he confided to me. He said, look, before I became a devotee of Krishna, I was in that school, I was a Mayavadi, basically. And I cannot help it. I just go back. I like it also. And he used to come back to his God also. And everyone knew. Those who knew him well, everyone knew. And what is the verse? We're jumping ahead, 12:5. Krishna will discuss in depth about that predicament. 12:5. Klesho dikataras tesham avyakta ashakta chetasam. Avyakta hi gatir dukam deravabira rapyate. It will, again, the same topic. This is the main topic of the Gita we are discussing here. The main topic. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, avyakta, the impersonal feature of the absolute, progress will be troublesome. In the long run, Krishna says, Yes, they will reach. Why is it troublesome? Because we are in the flesh, we are incarnated, we are embodied in the flesh, aren't we? So to tell someone in the flesh, in matter, embodied, you please meditate on the avyakta, on the unmanifested, it's very troublesome. But Prabhupada says in 12.5, very interesting, it lingers. Beautiful analogy, you know the analogy? If you drink wine and you put wine in a bottle, in a glass, because you've been drinking wine, even though you may wash the glass, you put water now, but the taste of the wine lingers at the bottom of the glass. Such a beautiful analogy of Prabhupada. So in the same way, Prabhupada says in 12.5, these remnants of having been a Mayavadi will linger. And that devotee was a true example of that. Very nice fellow. But couldn't help it. And of course, I lost track. It's 20 years ago. So, you know, it lingers. But might as well, like we are fortunate in one sense, jumping from sheer materialism to Krishna consciousness. At least we have no lingering of other spiritual pursuits that nag us. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. We are in 5. Okay, so let's go back to the 3rd chapter. 3. So what is, yeah, of course, 5 is clear, the modes of nature. That is why, remember Arjuna, the Pancha Samshaya, he wanted to pull out. But Krishna told him, I will laugh at you, Arjuna, because you don't want to fight on my behalf. You will still fight all the same later down the road, but you won't do it for me, and I will laugh at you. Because we cannot help it. As long as we are conditioned, we are bound to act according to the qualities we have acquired from the modes, whether we want it or not. The modes are much stronger than us. We have to remember, the combination of the modes make up for these material universes. Just the combination. What are the material universes? Tejo vidam yata yatra vinimayo yatra tisago mrisha. What we see is combination of the modes. Just imagine the power of the modes of nature. 84 lakhs of species. Let's move on. 6. We're talking about Mityachar here. Go ahead.
Text 6 translation. One who restrains the senses and organs of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender.
Yeah, so it's quite straightforward. Unfortunately, I was reading the other day. Let me see if I find the verses. Yeah, it's Mahaprabhu speaking to Sanatan Goswami. There's so many karma kandis. Yeah, those 2 verses. Mahaprabhu is speaking to Rup Goswami, sorry. Rup Goswami was instructed in, I think it was in Dashwamita God products, I think it was in Varanasi. So he told him, Vedanishta madhye ardika mukhamane. Vedanishida papakore dharma nahi gane. Next verse, Dharmachari madhye bahuta karmanishta. Koti karmanishta madhye ek gyanishvashta. So he's saying, Mahaprabhu is giving a full recap. Among human beings, you find those who are followers of the Vedic principles. Already they are special, no doubt. They are considered civilized. If you don't follow Vedic principles, you're not civilized. This is the verdict of Mahaprabhu. But then he's going to fine-tune it. Among these, talking about civilized practitioners of the Vedic principles, he's saying, Ardhika means almost half simply are doing lip service, talking, while committing in private all kinds of sinful activities. Understand? They are Vedanishta, like Veda Vedadatta we discussed in 242. They are acting sinfully against the principles of Vedic life. They don't care, actually. Even though they advocate in public, they may quote verses. They are tagged as practitioners. And then next verse, Ramachari, I just quoted the verse, among the followers of those, what does he say? Most are following the process of fruitive activity, distinguishing between good and bad, and they are Kamanishta, but you'll find only Ek Gyani Shreshta, only one Gyani. But practically, what I'm trying to say is practically all the Vedic practitioners are just Mityachar, just like that verse here, 3:6, Mityachar. They make a show of being a yogi or even a Gyani or Vedic practitioner. That is why it's so important to purify our existence.
Prabhu,
yes, Prabhu, go ahead.
I was wondering, where do we find these verses that you're quoting?
Yeah, it's Madhya Lila. This is very interesting. Mahaprabhu has the prerogative to encapsulate in 2 verses the whole spectrum of Vedic paradigm. Mahaprabhu is God. No? Don't forget. Okay, so this is Madhya 19, 146, 147. See, this is CC is postgraduate study. Now we are into pre-graduate study. Gita, then graduate study,
Undergraduate.
then postgraduate. Sava boom. We are doing Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav. Well, I'll teach you Bhakti Vaibhav if you want later. Bhakti Vedant, Bhakti Sarvabhum. So, there's long scope. So, you have to understand, Brahma Yamal explained this point. There's a verse in Skanda Puran, Brahma Yamal also. Shruti Smriti Puranadi, Panchalatra Vidimina, Ekantiki Hara Bhakti Utpataya Eva Kalpate. If you don't follow Shruti, Smriti, Puran, Pancharatra, Vidim Vina, no, Ekantiki Haral Bhakti, then Utpatayata. Utpatayava, ça veut dire, it means it creates a disturbance in society. You understand? You become a Dharma Dwaji. Bhakti Thakur called them Dharma Dwaji. They flag, they agitate, they shake, they just agitate the flag of religion. Dharma Dwaji. To attract others. Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives a beautiful analogy. He talks about the ducks. You know the example of the ducks? You have two types of ducks. Some ducks are flying smoothly on the lake, and some ducks are flying. So the ducks who are flying, they look down, they say, oh, it looks quite all right. We can land. You guys, we can land. Look, they are flying smoothly on the surface of the lake. There's no danger. So So the Dharmadwaji from below, from the lake, look, we are religionists. Dharmadwaji. Dwaj means flag. So the other fellows, the laymen, the outsiders, they want to become, oh, it's safe here. They want to land. We can land on the lake also and fly smoothly on the surface. Actually, they get fooled. They get fooled. So many, especially in India, remember, you've been in India, and what to speak of Vignesh who lives there. He can certainly certify. There's so many false philanthropists, we discussed in Sri Show, Veda Vadarata, so-called followers of the Vedas, Dijamrataha, same story, Mityacha also, Shubato. And they befool others like anything. Like anything. Kripalu. Remember Kripalu? You know this Kripalu?
Yeah.
In India, I was 10 years in Vrindavan. We used to call him Kripalu Gunda.
Prem Mandir.
He has a mandir bigger than his can, fine white marble. And this rascal, he used to organize big kirtan, loud kirtan, like anything. In private, he would have small girls coming in his room while they have kirtan outside.
Thanks.
And he knows the Gita by heart from birth, from childhood. Mityacha. What does Gita says? Sri Show says 9. We did Sri Show together.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
quote 9 then. Ah, bah oui. This is right there in Sri Show. Andam tama pravishanti yevidyamu pasate tatobu yeva tetamo yeho vidyam rataha. Buya means worse. Worse still. Andam tama pravishanti. They go down, the foolish, okay, we know. But worse, buya, eva. Worse will be the fate of those who befool others purposefully. Worse, their fate. Prabhupada was extremely adamant against them, because they are duplicating like weeds, and they kill devotional life. Actually, they kill the. Prabhupada says in the Sri Show, remember he says in 12, I think, they make our task difficult. They make our task difficult because people are gullible. This is the problem. They're gullible. 6, 7. On the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga in Krishna consciousness without attachment, is by far superior. Even a sweeper on the streets is by far superior. If he practices karma yoga at home with his family, he's a poor guy, he's trying his best, perhaps offering little something to Krishna. Look at, remember this great devotee in Gaur-Lila? Of course, we cannot compare, he's a Parshada. Anyway, do you want to say anything on this verse 7? So what is, and I was asking you actually one question. I was asking you one question having to do with the first. Yeah, basically, we are talking about nishkarmya here. We have to explain to me this concept of nishkarmya. And I told you to refer yourself to Narad, preaching to Vyas. So explain to me this concept in this section here. We're talking about nishkarmya. What is it all about?
Niskarmya means you work without any desire for your own sense gratification.
Yes.
So all your work should be dovetail for the pleasure, for the service of Krishna, of the Supreme Lord.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So, in other words, we should never give up our prescribed duty without scriptural authorization. Otherwise, it will create chaos in the world. It is impossible, we have discussed, to maintain the body without activities. Impossible. Because of the modes 3-5, we are triggered, we are instigated to action. If we don't work for Krishna, we work for Maya. It's very simple. We don't have no choice. So remember, why did I give you that quote in the Bhagavatam? It's a very interesting example. Have you looked it up?
Vairagya Vidya.
No, that's Kavi Kanapur. But I gave you the verse of Narad 1:5-33. Did you look it up?
What is Bhagavatam 1:5?
Yeah, 1:5-33. Amayo yash chabutanam jajate yena suvrata, sorry. Tadeva yamayam dravyam na punati. Shikiptitam. O good soul, this is Narad speaking to Vyas, his disciple. Doesn't a thing applied therapeutically cure disease which was caused by that very same thing? Beautiful example. Doesn't a thing applied therapeutically cure disease which was caused by that very same thing? Then next verse, it goes together. Thus, when all a man's activities are dedicated to the service of the Lord, those very activities which cause its perpetual bondage become the destroyer of the tree of work. Can you put it better than this? No. The very same activity that used to entangle you and lead you to hell, the very same activity, once it is dovetailed to Lord Krishna, becomes the destroyer of work. You become nishkarmya. Nishkarmya. Understand? You become akarma. Nishkarmya apyucha achuta bhava varjitam, Narad is saying in the same section. Na shubate Janam amalam niranjanam. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. What doesn't look good? Even if you have nishkarmya, you are beyond the modes. You are basically on the level of nirgun, but it doesn't look good, Narad is saying. Why? Apya achyuta bhava varjitam. If it is devoid of bhav for achyut, for Krishna, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look well. Once you become Krishna conscious, your activities which previously used to entangle you, those very same activities, once engaged in Krishna service, become the destroyer of the tree of work. This is Nishkamya. You follow?
Yep.
So this is the key topic of the Gita. We are in the thick of the Gita here. And then 8, perform your prescribed duty. For doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work, of course. And then the epitome is coming, 9. You have to learn it by heart, I believe, for your exam. What is 9?
English translation of 9 is work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction. And in that way, you will always remain free from bondage.
Exactly. So this is the conclusion. unless and until we work for Vishnu, whatever we do will bind us. Actually, CC goes in the same line of thought. Krishnadas Kaviraj is saying, Krishna Bhaktira Badaka Yata Shubha Shubha Karma. Saha Ek Jivira Agyana Tamaguna. In other words, he's saying all these Shubha and Ashubha activity, inauspicious, auspicious. People are saying, oh, this is extremely favorable, this is unfavorable. Actually, it's all bad. Unless and until it fosters your Krishna Bhakti. It's all bad. Why? People say, why? You're so heavy. Why? Why it's all bad? Look at 3.9. Why is it all bad? Whatever you do. Prabhupada used to say, whatever falls short of pure Krishna consciousness is Maya. I mean, that's quite exclusive. You can't be more exclusive than that. Can you imagine? It's hard to swallow for a non-devotee. Why is it all bad? Because karma bandhana, you can just look at 3.9. Karma bandhana is going to entangle you, my dear sir. Good in a good way, in a good manner, or in a bad manner. Either way, you are entangled to come back and bear the fruits and enjoy the fruits. Good or bad, doesn't matter. So you are the architect of your own destiny. There's no way around. There's no way around. Akama Savakamova, Moksha Kama Udadaradi, Tivena Bhakti Yogena, Yajitam Purusham Param. Shukdev is saying, whether you are Akama, Mokshakam, Sarvakam, Tivena Bhakti Yogena. Worship Krishna. Either way, you will get your end met. Because what Krishna is so kind that on the way, like Dhruv Maharaj, remember, he had an axe to grind. He wanted a bigger planet than his great-grandfather Brahma. But while doing so, while practicing, Krishna extracted purification from his heart, he ended up getting the darshan of Vishnu Garb Vishnu, and he ended up having his own planet. First of all, he ruled for 36,000 years, and then he joined Shetadvip, Polar Star, which is a Vaikuntha planet in this material world. And he started off very fruitive. So Krishna will extract purification of the heart. The demigods will not do that. We're coming to that now. Again, next section. Is it clear? Sorel, Jacob?
Yes.
Okay. You just stop me if you get a little lost, but trying to be clear. So there's no way around. We have to act for, even if we are fruitive, doesn't matter. Akama Savakamova. Krishna is, you can apabvidam, we discussed long back, 3 show number 8. You cannot contaminate Krishna. Okay, so now we're entering subsection, a different one. Human life is meant for yagya, basically. We're going into that direction. And I think I gave you further question on this. Why did I was sorry, a little late for the second batch of the question, I have to admit. I gave you just a few, just to, what was the question I gave you? Yeah, how the Karma Kandi, I think it was about the Karma Kandi or something like that.
Yeah, what enables Karma Kandi practitioner?
Yeah, so let's get into that section here. Let's read a little bit. 10, you can read 10, 11, yeah, 10, 11, 12 in one go because same topic.
Yeah. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creation sent forth generation of men and demigods along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, "Be thou happy by yagna sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you all desirable things." You read only the verses?
Yeah, you can read 10, 11, 12.
Okay. The demigod being pleased by sacrifices will also please you, thus nourishing one another. There will reign general prosperity for all. In charge of various necessities of life, the demigod being satisfied by the performance of yagna, sacrifice, supply all necessities to men, but he who enjoys these gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. That's it.
Okay, great. That's it. We can stop here. So what's happening here? It looks like Lord Krishna is kind of lowering the discussion, isn't he? What is he trying to achieve? Apparently, it looks like he's kind of dropping a bit the subject. I mean, kind of, going down a little bit in terms of tattva. Why is he doing that, first of all? Because remember, we ended up 3.9. This is Vishnu Bhakti. This is conclusion of this prior section, work for Vishnu. Basically, we're talking about, karma yoga here. It's spiritual pursuit. There's yoga, karma, yoga. Yoga means spiritual pursuit, connection with the absolute, yoga, union with the absolute through karma, through activity, detached activity, combined with renunciation, internal renunciation, but still fully actively involved in activities for Krishna. Otherwise, you become bound up. 3.9. Okay. So why is it going down a little bit here? Apparently, at first sight. Talking about demigods, talking about, yes?
You want to establish, the position of Lord Vishnu and the demigods?
Yes. That's a very good angle. Thank you for that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a very good start. He wants to let us know, by the way, there's Vishnu, but there's a whole ministerial government below. Yes, very good start. Anything else?
He's also elaborating on the concept of yagya. He just defined yagya, he just mentioned yagya in 3.9, but considering that Arjuna may get confused exactly what is this entire process. So he's just giving an entire complex cycle of how things work in the universe, the process of yagya.
Yes, excellent. So Goloka mentioned about very pertinently, yes, it's going to bring into the picture the existence of the demigods, 33 million, that's quite a big number. Vignesh brought about yagya concept, excellent. Jacob, we haven't heard you today much.
I'm sorry, what is the question?
Question is, apparently Lord Krishna is moving down a little bit in terms of topic. We were discussing about yagya to Vishnu, yagya tat kamanonya tra 3.9. We have to work for Vishnu in sacrifice, so it's quite high. It's a high level. It's nishkam karma yoga. Now back down to what is this topic here all about? What is it called in Sanskrit?
Yagya.
Yes, but in terms of pursuit, what is this? How do we call this type of practitioners?
Karma kanda.
Very good. So now my question is, why apparently Lord Krishna is going down a little bit, lowering down the topic?
Well, it could be to appeal to Arjuna. He's a member of this Vedic society, and he's speaking at large to, the messages for not just Arjuna, but all who will hear it. So he's making sure to include those people who might just be working for fruitive results.
Excellent. That's a very good topic. Very good answer. Yeah, remember, Krishna is not only aiming at rescuing the bhakti yogis like us, we are very feeble in our practice, but no, he's looking at the whole spectrum of mankind for all times to come. So you will see in the Gita is making sure all the time to widen his grip on the whole possibilities, all types of practitioners. Yes, very good point. So let's go into the details of that. So we discussed that previously Krishna established that we should not artificially renounce activities, but we should perform activities in a detached way. So now he's going to explain, what about those who are not yet at the stage of detached work, but they wish to attain it? So he's going to open the door for those who want to satisfy their material desires in a religious way. Those who are attached, but they will be purified also. Actually, even Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, even in Karma Kand, there's a little touch of bhakti. And we will discuss, I will ask you why after. So as explained before, the purpose of sacrifice is Vishnu, Srinai. So now Krishna will show, practically speaking, down to us, how the production of grain is dependent on sacrifice. Rain, grain, coming from yagya. What is the origin of yagya? Prescribed duties. Where are the prescribed duties? Innovators. So he's going to take us through the full circle. What is the circle behind? He has put that into place himself, Lord Vishnu, for that matter. And then he will go back up, way back up, after that, to the position of a self-realized karma yogi, like Janak. So he's, in the Gita, Krishna is apparently going up and down just to make sure he claims everyone back home. Okay, so yagya here. Yagya sahayagya praja srijva puruvacha prajapatihi. Everything can be attained through yagya. You may have heard your parents all the time when you were a kid, your mother, your father, I sacrificed everything for you, my dear girl, my dear girl. Didn't you hear that? My mother, of course, they work hard for us, sacrificing for the sake of others. It's part of human life, even on the material plane, our parents, what we wouldn't do for the kids. So in the same line of thought, look, Krishna, why wouldn't he do for us? We are kids of Krishna. So he's putting a program in place, he's putting a program in place so we can be happy. Happiness is part of the program. It's the main craving, the main intent of the program is to be happy. Legitimately, we're supposed to be happy. So Krishna is putting ourselves, okay, you wanted to go away from me, fine, but I'm still going to create a system down there in this world so you can be happy. This is compassion, but make sure you follow that system. System is right here. In other words, we have to, otherwise, if we don't give in return, like let's say you get something, as soon, if you're a properly situated human being, you get something, and if you look around, you see someone unhappy, you should give a little portion of that thing to that person to help him out. This is basic life, human life. So in the same way here, Krishna is telling us, be happy by this yagya. Give in return, but don't give in a mode of ignorance. Give to me, Srinai, or at least give to the demigods. Otherwise, you're a rascal. You're a thief, stena. Stena means thief. So Krishna is very kind. This is compassion. This is compassion. And of course, Srila Prabhupada, as you know, as usual, is always embedding in this purport. What is the yagya for us? Srila Prabhupada always has the prerogative to bring back the topic way up to Mahaprabhu. Yagya Sankirtan prayer yajanti hi sumedasa. Right? Prabhupada is always putting the bar very high. Whichever verse is there, put it back up there. What is the yagya for us? Yagya Sankirtan prayer yajanti hi sumeda saha. Sumeda means very intelligent. Meda, sumeda. So performing Sankirtan yagya for the sake of Mahaprabhu Panchatattva. This is the very nature, the very essence of yagya in this age. Srila Prabhupada oftentimes doesn't necessarily stick to the verses. So my question was, it's a bit tricky. What enables the Karma Kandi practitioner to move up the ladder? Because apparently it's not a Karma Yogi, it's a Karma Kandi. He's not a devotee, he's not a spiritualist in one sense. Technically speaking, he's not a spiritualist. So is he stuck there forever? What will enable him to still go up? After a long time perhaps, but still he will go up.
Is it him offering the fruits of his work? I'm not sure.
Karma Kandi, again, he has no conception of the absolute truth, or at least very little. But what's going to happen, Bodhijan Prabhu used to emphasize that so much, I remember, is going to contacting priest for the sake of his yagya, right? He's performing yagya just like Prachina Barishad. Remember Prachina Barishad? The father of the 10 Prachitas? He was doing karma kandic activities back to back. Back to back. He stops one, he starts another. There were kusha grass all over the kingdom. Because when you do yagya, you need kusha grass. So who came in the picture to instruct him? Narada. Yes. And can you imagine such an illustrious father of the 10 Prachitas? Is that correct, Vignesh? I think he's the father of 10 Prachitas.
Yes.
And he was still engrossed into karma kandic activities. And Narada came and kind of shook him up, told him it's futile. So what I'm trying to say is, by contacting the priest, they know they are hired, it's called Ritvik. They are hired to perform a yagya. They get paid, they do it. So he's going to understand, wait a minute here, I'm performing yagya to go to heaven in due course of time. So if something is going to heaven, obviously it's not me, I'm a body here. Who's going to heaven? Then gradually he understands, he gets the picture. I'm the soul. And then the priest will, if he's a nice priest, obviously, not to Kama Nishta, as we discussed before by Mahaprabhu, but the real priest with some tattva, real tattva, atma tattva, is going to tell him, my dear sir, yes, I'm doing it, that's yagya for you, but bear in mind that Kshine Punya Machalokam Vishanti, 921, 923. Once you have used up the merits of your pious acts that allow you to move up to Svargalok, once that is exhausted, what happened?
You come back then.
Back down to square one, my dear sir. So he gets the picture after some time because he becomes enamored by this system. What do you think are the Kropattis in India? The Kropati in India, Birla, Tata, they know the system. They know the system. going up, Svargalok, and coming back, not coming back as a pauper. 8th chapter will explain that when you come back down from heaven, before you use up everything, you will keep just enough to get a human body and go back, take birth again in Bharadvaja. Bharadvaja is Kama Punya. So you again accrue your karma. That is why Bharadvaja is a roundabout of many types of fellows. Some are coming back from hell, some are coming back down from heaven. So you find all kinds of population there. It's a mix. It's a mixed bag. So that fellow, he associates with the priest and he gets the picture. What's the use, by the way? What is the purpose of? And gradually becomes detached. And gradually, he becomes one of those practitioners we discussed before, Nishkam Karma. And gradually, he understands 3-9. Yes, I should mostly concentrate on Vishnu. Then he understands I'm not the body, by the way. I understood. I've done it many times. And gradually he becomes Karma Yogi, and we know the rest. Moving up to Bhakti Yogi. But it's a long haul. It's a long haul. Is that clear? Sorrel?
It's somewhat clear, a little unclear for me, to be honest. I don't get how that it went. I don't understand how that answers the question, to be honest. I don't know if maybe you could break it down a little simpler for me. Sorry.
Okay. So Vignesh, you answer that one.
Well, I'm not able to answer you.
I'm a complicated guy, perhaps. Make it simpler for her.
Please.
I just wrote the answer, so I can tell my answer.
Yeah, please. Your answer is always to the T.
Yeah, so basically, question was how Karmakandi practitioner can move up the ladder. So, basically, they can follow the prescribed duty as per the Varnashram Dharma. Normally, here, I think when we're talking about the Karmakandi, we're not talking about the pure materialist in a sense, but we are talking about the Vedarata kind of person who are just attached to the flowery words of the Vedas or something like that. So whatever activities that they do, daily activities, they should do it for the satisfaction of considering that we need to have that kind of mood of sacrifice, not for the gratifying our senses, but mood of sacrifice for some higher power. Even if they don't agree or don't know what is the absolute power or absolute truth is Lord Vishnu or whoever, at least they can have that mood of sacrifice through some higher power when they are doing any activity as per the prescribed rules of Varnashram Dharma. That gradually they can elevate themselves. It's a gradual process for them in that sense.
Okay.
The good part of the Karma Kandis, Sorel, we have to give that credit to them, is that they accept the Vedas.
Okay.
They accept the authority of the Vedas. So in due course of time, it may be a long, long haul, they will come to the mark. Because, why? Because they partake in Yagya Shishta. Yagya Shishta means sanctified food. We discussed 313, we're coming. And they're associating with learned Brahmin priest, and gradually realize that Vishnu is the supreme. Bhaktala Yagya Tapasama, 529. So some of the yagyas are meant to satisfy demigods. In one sense, it's quite simple. You want to worship demigods? Okay. What you do is you worship Vishnu Shila, and then you offer to demigods. Then it's fine. Look at Puri. You've been to Puri. Whom do they offer the food to?
No, Jagannath.
Yes. And then who is the first receiver of the Prasad?
Demigods, Shiva or Shiva.
Yeah, but do we have to be specific? What was the childhood name of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur? Bimal Prasad. Bimala Devi. Bimala Devi is a demigoddess. You offer to Jagannath, and then the first prasad is offered to her. And then it's offered to mankind. So you tell the demigod worshippers, offer to Vishnu. And then you offer to the demigods. Then it's fine. Then it's fine. This, you have to give a little twist to it, Just offer to Vishnu, then prasad to demigods. So in that sense, as soon as they click on this one, Vishnu first, then demigods, they become devotee gradually. Because Vishnu is the chief beneficiary, of course. Okay, and then we discuss 12. 12 is the same story, yeah? We have to reciprocate. We have to give something in return. There's no way around. And of course, we can go into the details of that because you have to put yourself at a bit of time. It's mentioned, I don't know if you have read that book, Renunciation Through Wisdom. Have you read that book of Srila Prabhupada?
No.
It's either that one or Message of God. It's a tiny paperback. Srila Prabhupada explained there that there are 5 kinds of sin which everyone inevitably commits. You know what are those 5? Even if you're a devotee, because those sins are very particular. It's called Pancha. I'm trying to remember the name. Panchasina. Panchasina. You heard of that, Vignesh? So it's mentioned that. Yes, go ahead.
I've not heard of the name. I don't know exact name, but I haven't read it. I remember something reading like that.
In the Smriti, it's mentioned that there's 5 types of sins, Panchasina. Everyone is inevitably partaking into that. One is you sin committing by itching. It's quite interesting when you itch. By rubbing, by starting a fire, you commit sin. By pouring water from a pot, by cleaning the house. It's not intentionally, yes, but you commit those 5 kind of sins without a shadow of a doubt. So for that matter, it is our duty to offer to Vishnu. So even those who are extremely finicky, I want to, like the Jains. That was my next question to you, actually. They're very concerned, the Jains, not to commit any sin, aren't they? Very concerned. For that matter, they know the only course of action for me to get away from that is to worship Vishnu. So Vishnu has put this little finicky, Pancha Suno in the Shastra, Smriti Shastra, and the remedy is just to worship me. So people go for it because they don't want to partake of the sin, just like the Jains. The Jains don't have much spiritual pursuit, but since then they're so adamant to avoid sinning, they're going to offer the remnants of food to Vishnu. So this is a trick of Lord Vishnu, actually, because they want to escape the sinful reaction. Doesn't matter, at least they worship Lord Vishnu. You follow?
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
Like you say, every action that we perform, we commit sin. Yeah. But even we are practitioner of Bhakti Yoga, we're not purely chanting the holy name. We are not purely performing the Sankirtan Yagna.
Yeah.
So that means we're committing sin.
No, we're committing sin, but it's how do you say? It's totally obliterated by our practice. Understand? It's totally obliterated by our practice. When let's say you are now it's book distribution marathon of Christmas. Let's say you walk on a spider. It's sin, but since you're doing yagya, it's totally transcendental. The spider will become kind of liberated by you because you are going on Sankirtan. You understand?
And also, I know in so many temples they have so many cockroaches in the kitchen and everything. And in India, I've seen even they have mouse. Sometimes they have to put traps. Sometimes they have to kill the cockroaches.
I know.
Is that
Prabhupada on the mosquito discussion, he said we should not kill them unless I mean, first you have to wipe them out, chase them away. But Harish already mentioned, Prabhu, that he mentioned that he used to see Prabhupada smashing them with the Bhagavatam. But of course, we're not Prabhupada. Personally, I would chase them away. But I mean, if one of them is going to bite me, I'm going to smash him. That's for sure. I mean, I might be wrong there, but I'm not going to let myself my blood away by this rascal. But I'll chase him away, Like Prabhupada, when he would put his mosquito net, in India, he would tell Harishwari, please make sure, drive all the mosquito. And then he would put, frankincense in there, so they're driven away. So my next question was, coming to the end, what's wrong with religious doctrines which justify unnecessary violence or demand absolute non-violence for their own sake? I kind of touched on it already in one sense. Did you answer to that one? Let's see what Vignesh say. Sanatan Dharma, Lord Shiva. Yeah, we should refrain. But what I was trying to draw from you is that, especially in terms of Panchasuno, those 5 inevitable sins, I was giving you already the hint, and the Jainism, they demand absolute non-violence for their own sake, without connection to the Lord. Am I right, Vignesh? They don't have conception of God, huh? Do they?
Yeah. I have mentioned that in the last paragraph of that my answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like devotees should understand, like I just mentioned, I'm just paraphrasing it. Devotees should understand that advocating non-violence and like vegetarianism in and of itself doesn't make one a devotee.
Exactly.
For devotees, don't need to practice non-violence separately or join some kind of separate group for that. The devotional practice naturally makes them compassionate to all living entities. So if one just restrict oneself to the mere concept of non-violence, like as the religions like Buddhism and Jainism do, then it may hamper our devotional progress, because at the core, we are not just a vegetarian, so we are not just non-violent entity, but we are like what we say, we are like Krishnatarians. So in that sense, our focus should be on Krishna, and naturally everything will follow.
Yeah, exactly.
If I might add also, there are sometimes situations where violence is actually the right thing to do.
Yes.
To stop a force which is.
Can you give an example, Chaka?
Yeah, I mean the Gita is a perfect example. Krishna is telling Arjuna to fight against this, the opposing army, the Kauravas, who have usurped the kingdom and are actually asuras in disguise. But anyways, they're terrorizing the kingdom and the people and committing sinful acts, and so they must be stopped.
Exactly. I can refer to a very recent world coverage news, ISKCON Bangladesh. You have heard, huh?
Bangladesh.
Yes.
I mean, even I think who's the spokesman was the TP of Delhi, ISKCON Delhi. I think I forgot his name. He gave a brilliant answer. He was on TV, and he said, why didn't they keep rifles and guns? It happened in Mayapur in 1978. The Gundas came to destroy the deities. They were killing, they were shooting. Bhakti Raghav Maharaj lost one leg. They killed dacoits. The devotees killed dacoits. You have to defend Krishna. They were going to topple over the deities. You're standing, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. No. And I'm sorry to say, but ISKCON Bangladesh should have taken the rifles and shoot the Gundas. This is You cannot just let it happen. A few devotees died. One devotee was beaten to death. What kind of, oh, we have no weapons. This is ridiculous, especially living in a country like this. Bangladesh is dangerous. The spokesperson is Kandali, he said very plainly on TV. And he explained, like you said, what is the Gita in practice today? This is Gita. Okay, according to you, you don't defend yourself, but when it comes to others, you are very fiery. Even Manusmriti will say, a guy who steals your wife, your property, etc. There's different points. You don't stand in limbo watching or fleeing away. Deities are there. Devotees got beaten to death, 1 or 2. It's crazy. This is bad misunderstanding of the philosophy. Always Om Shanti. What is this nonsense? And the Muslim know. They know. Look at Indian history. I forgot the name. Tell me the name of that warrior, Vignesh. One Hindu king, very powerful fighter, Kshatriya, he defeated a Muslim adversary 17 times, isn't it, Vignesh? 14, 15 times. Each time he released him.
Yeah.
Then next time over, the Muslim won the party. He killed immediately the Hindu king. No mercy. This is the downfall of India. Prabhupada said, because Indian let the Muslim enter. As simple as that. We had the same state of affair in France. Look at the French history. Mohammed was born 5th, 6th century, perhaps. I forgot exactly. Middle East. As early as 6th, 7th century, Muslims were already invading Europe from the south. They invaded Spain. They stayed in Spain for hundreds of years, southern Spain. Moved up towards Spain, then entering France. They were already in the mood of conquering Europe in the 7th century, nothing new. One king of France, Charles Martel, look it up, Charles Martel. He stopped them right on the spot, and he fought vigorously. And he pushed them back. He said, I don't want to see you back in Europe. He just pulverized them all over Europe. Muslims didn't come back for 1,000 years. They just came back in the 18th century. Even you cannot use this name of a king, Charles Martel, as a password if you're a Muslim. This Charles Martel title is written in red ink for them because he stopped the progress of Muslim invasion in Europe. Prabhupada said, because Indians let the Muslim in. Muslim knows that, they know. Or we won't find much resistance. This is unheard of, what happened in this kind of village. Unheard of. And they will start again. Muslims know, they know. That's how they function, you know. So by all means, we should resort to violence for the sake of Krishna. You know, defending deities, defending devotees, defending the reputation. You put your head on the block, you go back to Godhead. You get killed defending Krishna, killed defending devotees, go back to Godhead right on the spot. This is Gita. Shouldn't think it's just philosophy and no application. Now, more and more it should have application. Look at the world today. It's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. You know, don't think it's going to be a picnic. It's going to get worse. Krishna is pushing us against the wall, you know, to really stand up. Otherwise, we'll be swallowed in the system. That's what they want us to become swallowed in, you know. So, okay, so we've got 10 minutes left. Let's move on a little bit. Where are we? So, yes, and of course, 13. This is what Vignesh said. We're not vegetarian per se. No, we are Krishna-Aryan, Krishna-Aryan practitioner. It's offered to Krishna, good. It's not offered, doesn't matter. We won't take it. So basically, you know the story. It's protecting. It's like an antidote. This prasad. Then we go through the cycle. Anad Bhavanti Bhutani. This is what the cycle I was telling you. How does it work, this cycle? Let's go through the verses a little bit. Anad Bhavanti Bhutani. It goes together, those three verses. Parjanyat Anasam Bhavaha Yagyat Bhavati Parjanyu Yagya Karma Samud Bhavaha Kamak Brahmudbhavam Vidi Brahmakshara Samudbhavam Tasmat Savagatam Brahma Nityam Yagya Pratishtitam. All living bodies subsist on food grains which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yagya, and yagya is born of prescribed duties. Regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas. The Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice. So can you please explain? I mean, it's quite self-explanatory. How does it work? Let's say you have to explain this to a layman. What would you say in simple terms?
So God has given us instructions and duties to perform, and we subsist off of performing those duties because in turn they provide the necessary rains, which provide grains, which give us foodstuff.
Yeah. And even the meat eaters, it's very well understood. They're also depending on the grains. What are the cattle eating? What is eating? What is eating? The cattle, etc., the oxen and all. So, and even economically speaking, you know the story. You take 1 hectare of land, you grow wheat, you grow maize, you grow whatnot, and then you put, let's see how many people you can feed with that, the crops, the yield of that. Now you put cattle on the same surface, and you feed people with the meat of the cattle. It's without any comparison, you can feed much less people. Isn't it true? So now, why economically, we could say, if it is not sound economically, why they carry on pushing the meat industry? Because apparently, economically, it doesn't stand valid.
Yeah, not just economically, but environmentally, health, so many different reasons not to eat meat, right? I don't know, it seems like there's like an addiction.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because economically it doesn't stand valid. You can make more money growing food crops than killing cows and cattle on the same superficie. Yeah, I think you're right, Jacob. It's because they just love the taste. This is rascal. This is rakshas, basically. Rakshas means eating flesh eater.
Jacob, did you say addiction?
I think that's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a very good answer.
Isn't there so much in ignorance they cannot discriminate? They think that whatever tastes good.
And also ignorance of the reactions. When you read the 5th canto, it's heavy. People are, they don't click. Oh no, it's just theology. It's just what do you call it? Mythology. I think that it's a bit exaggerated. The people don't realize what's ahead of them.
I feel like a lot of people do
yes,
realize.
Sorel, go ahead.
I was saying, I feel like a lot of people do realize things though, but they just don't care because they're like, well, it doesn't affect me right now, so it's okay. Like, I think it's very like so much is said right now about not eating meat that it's like to say that people are ignorant of it. I think they're just choosing to just not care because it's like, oh well, I like eating meat, so
yeah, Shreya and Preya. They go for immediate. Shreya means immediate benefit, and they don't see Preya, long-term benefits.
Yeah,
definitely, yeah. But Prabhupada did say this is the main fundament of a spiritualist. You don't eat meat, irrespective of your path. And Prabhupada said also, if you start eating meat again, you're no more devotee. There's different level of falling down. Yeah, you can see around you. Woman, money, oftentimes those two are there. Bhogeshwaya Prashaktanam, 244. But again, eating meat, its story is over. Story is over.
Yeah, you really have to kind of go out of your way once you. I mean, when I was young, I ate meat, but I've been vegan for about 5 years now, and like, I have no desire to eat meat whatsoever. Irregardless of my devotional practice, but you really kind of have to go out of your way to regain that taste.
Yeah, Maya is so powerful. I don't want to mention names, but it's once you flirt with Maya, it's heavy. But everything can happen. Everything can happen. So Anat Bhavanti Bhutani, we are concerned with feeding the body with Krishna Prasad. Why? Because it counteracts. You have noticed with yourself. I noticed with myself. My consciousness is not so good, and I'm taking a good prasad. I go to the temple next door. Is temple 5 kilometers. And then I feel enlivened because Prabhupada did say the cook should have the best consciousness in the temple. Mayapur Chandra, I know him, he's a good cook from Middle East, top cook. And I can see his consciousness. In the morning he's cooking, and he's Krishna, very Krishna conscious devotee, So it immunizes you, against Maya. All these impediments towards progress in self-realization. So take Krishna Prasad. Prabhupada did say, take Krishna Prasad. You're hungry? Make an alva, offer to Krishna and eat. So it's a simple formula. You don't have to be advanced. Just cool. You're going to eat something. So basically, you have no choice. Okay, I think it's 6 here. I mean, it's, let's see, 6 o'clock, yeah. I'll stop here. Yes, so you tell Chandra, I'll tell him to start off from 15. Any questions, any topic, any clarification?
No.
So, by the way, how are you doing with your essay? Did you submit essays for Gita? I forgot.
No.
No.
Yeah, anyway, so bear in mind, I'm just reminding you, you're going to have 3 by 3, yes? 18 chapters, 3 times 6 chapters. So at the end of 6 chapters, we'll have a small closed book. Usually I don't do that, but to facilitate you, I used to break down in 2 times 9. But I mean, I can do that if you want. If you want to, you're a good group, I think you're a little beyond average group compared to other groups that I have. It's up to you. I mean, I leave it up to you, basically. If you want to break the Gita in 2, it's fine. If you want
so
to break...
after 6 chapters, you write the essay, not after 3 chapters.
Well, you're going to have a closed book either after 9 chapters or after 6 chapters. It's up to you. What do you decide?
Either in half or in thirds.
Sorry?
So this question again, you just have to revise all the question that you gave us, and Chandra gave
and
us?
Chandra, yeah, I don't know what he covered, but I mean, we will take from the question bank. So from the question bank he gave you and what I gave you. Yeah, I won't go outside of that because it wouldn't be fair. But again, you want me to break the guitar in 2 or in 3 parts?
My vote is for 3. I like taking our time and just really focusing on each section. But
okay, so we'll break in 3.
And then I'm sorry, just to clarify, in addition to that, back to the essays. So then do we have an essay due? And
okay, so you are due 2 essays per section. So that's going to be 6 essays. So you give 2 essays for the first 6 chapters, 2 essays for the middle 6 chapters, 2 essays for the last 6 chapters. Kama Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. And close book at the end of respectively 6 chapters. And of course, you may recite to me or to Chandra whenever it's ready. You call me on WhatsApp or him, and you recite your shloks pertaining to each section also. And to make it even easier, you can even recite me 1 shlok at a time, 1 shlok today, and I'll call you back tomorrow for another shlok, or all your shlokas in one go, as you wish. Look it up on your manual. There's a few shloks to learn, like 3.9, 5.29, 4.34. I mean, key shloks, 2.13. Yeah.
In chapter 2, so all the sloks that is in the handbook, you have to memorize?
Yeah. But to make it easier, if you can recite them to me or to Chandra as we move on, 1 at a time, 2 at a time, just to get them under your belt, if I may say, So at least it's taken care of. You don't have to think about it. Contrary,
so topic of the essay,
you had a very good Sri show, and you carry on. You'll have a good guitar also. Yes, Jacob, who was speaking?
Yeah, I was just saying the topic of the essay we can choose, right? Topic of the essay.
Yeah, so topic-wise, you pick up from the manual, or I'm fine with that. I told you many times, you just create your own essay, your own topic that suits you, that appeals to you, within pertaining to the section, of course. You did very well for Sri Show, I can tell you. You are definitely one of the best group. You are very consistent and good brain. It's funny because you are better off than the French groups. Looks like the level is higher with you. Yeah, interesting. Huh?
Everyone else is bringing me up.
Sorry?
Everyone else is bringing me up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's like that, sometimes it varies,
I think we need to push each other.
Yeah, we are on the same boat, don't worry. I'm also one of you.
Do they have some like a group study with a class group? We don't do that in Bhakti Sastri.
Say it again.
A group study, like all the students,
you can organize. I have no objection. I mean, you're free. Huh? You're free. You are jivas. Huh? You are free souls. If you want to meet,
other agree with me.
I mean, it's totally fine. Actually, it's very conducive. You're right to study in a group. You can meet outside of the class. Get yourself together on Zoom or WhatsApp, whatever.
What do you all think, guy?
That's up to you.
Yeah, I'm open to it.
Yeah.
Just before the exam, so with the exam question.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, it's a very good initiative. Huh?
Vignesh, you better be a part of this too.
Yeah.
You need your help.
Yeah, definitely.
Vignesh,
I'll be there. Whatever you say, I'll be there.
So how are we do that? So we can WhatsApp each other? Oh.
Yeah.
message.
Yeah, organize it. It's a very good initiative. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so take care. And whatever you need, ask me, if you need some clarification or whatever, some help. But you're doing quite well. But don't lag behind, a tendency, tomorrow. This procrastination, it's mode of ignorance. I'll do it tomorrow. So at least, as I told you before, you just submit one shot, I look at it. If it's fine, I mark it. Otherwise, I just tell you a few things to rectify, and you have two shots basically. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Take care.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Everyone.